So here at the Center of Love, our mission is to support one another and cultivate wisdom, healing, and love. So when I was asked to host, I was told I could just make something up about love for this part. And I laughed, but love is really why we're all here, is it not? So love to me can feel sometimes like a whisper. And if I'm not paying attention, sometimes I can miss it. But if I'm open to it and I catch it, I realize that love sort of, for me, feels small and soft at first. But as the whisper of love travels, I can feel its vibrations going into all the corners of my being. And soon, my heart feels like it's a disco ball. And it's just lit up and glowing. And I'm positive that it was love that I felt when I first was in this room for my very first meeting. I remember actually feeling my heart like vibrating and opening up as I was listening to Dre speak about the power of presence. And I quickly realized that the Center of Love is a place for us to be present with one another. It's a place to listen to each other. And it's a place to practice offering a really great gift of support, acceptance, and love. And so while that feeling of pure love is what has kept me coming back to these meetings, what I've remembered since coming here is that love is available to us in every moment. We just have to be open to it. And the topic that Ben is going to be speaking about today is about those moments. The moments when perhaps we decided to let love in, and as a result, we were awoken to a new path for ourselves. In a conversation that I had with Ben recently, he shared with me that his thoughts and behaviors began to change when he started to really look for and see the beauty in others and look for the lessons that he could learn in others. And actually in every person that he interacted with. And when we think about that, the experience of that, what a really wonderful thing to interact with someone who is open to receiving your beauty, your light, and really all that you have to offer in however you're showing up. So seeing the beauty in others it's like reflecting their light back to them. And I think that's why I like this comparison of an open heart being like a disco ball. Because, if you're open to the most loving interpretation of someone, you're really just reflecting their beauty and their light back to them. And vice versa. What we see and love and admire and respect in others, is that not also a reflection of ourselves? Choosing the path of love helps us connect with each other and with ourselves. And the consistent practice of seeing the beauty and lessons in others helps us to also see the beauty and learn from ourselves. So with that, I'm very excited to introduce Ben Sarma as our speaker this morning. And to tell you the truth, my interactions with Ben have been limited, but somehow he makes me feel like I'm his best friend. To interact with Ben is to feel really witnessed and heard. And I personally love when Ben speaks at these meetings because he's an expert at delivering powerful meaning and presence in his words while also making us laugh like kindness.
Amen.
So I would like to give the warmest welcome to Ben Sarma. Please come on up.
I'm not sure I can live up to all of that. Thank you, Teresa. Yeah, let's see. See if I can deliver on even just a handful of those promises that have been made. So thank you everyone for coming today. Really appreciated that you're showing up with your time and your spirit today. And when I started thinking about this, I wondered, why are we even here? Not at the center of love, but here at all. You know, how the heck did this happen? How on earth did we come forward, step forward as the beings that we are now, as human beings, and as these particular ones? I feel like we get lost in that question for a long time, you know, just wondering and pondering. And I don't feel confident that I'm ever going to have an answer to that, but it's still fun and interesting to consider. And I wanted to make a commitment at the start of this as well, so that I have a point to wrap up with, and that's it. I'm going to, by the end of this, hopefully explain why I don't feel small when I look up at the night sky. I think that's a common thing that people feel, as they look up at the stars and they think, oh my God, I'm so small and all of this. And I get that, but I don't feel that anymore. And so we'll see if I can get to that place where that makes any sense at all. No, a big part of the unlikeliness and the wonder of us being here is the fact that we emerged as human beings. And the Buddha had a mind-changing reflection that leads to the Dharma, or like connection with the nature of all things. And the first one, he had 4 of them. The first one was the reflection on the preciousness of human birth. And in a sense, that's what this whole talk is all about as well, is just on how lucky we are to be here as human beings. Because it seems to me highly improbable. You know, if you think about, say, all the matter in our solar system, most of it, of course, is in the sun. You know, that's 333,000 times more massive than the Earth. And then the rest, a lot of the rest mass is in Saturn and Jupiter. And so you're like, well, what does all that matter? The point is just that everything that makes us up, all of the matter anyway, I mean, I'm not making any assumptions about everything that makes us up, that is, most of it in the solar system isn't even here on this planet. So we've been coming together, attracted together for billions of years, and everything that made us up came here. And then on top of that, I looked up how many life forms there are on Earth, because, you know, there are maybe about 8 billion humans, okay, and there are about 20 quintillion life forms. So that's 20 billion. I mean, none of that makes any sense, but it's a lot. And here we are, again, blessed to be human. And I think perhaps the time that it was interesting, Teresa was talking about love, because in a way it was love that I feel like first sort of called me to begin waking up. It was a long journey from there to more acceptance and more openness. But when I was 18, I fell in love for the first time, and it changed everything that I wanted out of life, pretty much everything. And it wasn't easy. There was a lot of struggle and confusion, but it opened me up to to being in love and falling in love with all things. So that was the gift that I got from that. And from there, a lot's happened since then, obviously. And the reason I'm sharing this is I'm hopeful that maybe in the end we're able to share some of the moments in our lives that were life-changing or awakening for us, and then see where we can get with that, to share some of these holy moments. And I think another big one for me was coming to a connection with the earth. And Linda, she brought me a handmade driftwood tree, and she brought a tree back here that she created. And some of you may know I've got I really love trees. I love nature. I know I'm not the only one, but there's one particular tree that was a gateway for me to understanding, I think, our connection to the earth. And at least in terms of talking about it, there's a part of us that just simply is the earth, right? And so when I go to that tree, I can go into that place where I feel that singularity. That's a word that someone I know once used. That singularity with the rest of the earth, and that's a wonderful place to be. I mean, it's tempting to just dwell there and stay there for a while, and just and I get that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think that we're also capable of going further than that, or being greater than that, if that makes sense. Because we're also cosmic beings. You know, and I know not everybody is down with the Big Bang, and that's all good. I don't know. That's it's totally fine. I don't know what happened before Earth either. Even though everything that I am was there, I don't remember it. Not exactly. But it seems to me that we were in amongst the stars all that time, dancing across the universe. And so that cosmic space, that's another place to be. And I had one moment with a person once. We were talking, and it felt like our cosmoses are like, what's the plural of cosmos? I don't think there is one. They collided. And you know, when you have a moment like that, you think, well, okay, I could probably spend a while here, right? It's like it's a pretty good place to be. And yet, in that cosmic space, that cosmic part of us, I think we're still greater than that. Again, that's just a part of what we are. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm too esoteric at the moment. But I think once we move through that, and get back to the point where I started at my talk, why I don't feel small when I look up at the stars. And I mean, there's just the simulational reality that we're creating, is that the stars, everything that you observe is in your mind. Okay, so all of that is actually inside of you, in a neurological and in physical sense. That's where it's coming from. That's not actually what's out there, whatever that could even mean, to be out there outside of us. And so that's in your mind. And then even the ways of quantifying it, of measuring it, like in light years, that still is a human construct, a way of measuring it, a way of participating in that. Okay, so I don't see why I would feel small for something that's inside of me. So that's one part of it. And then the next part, and I'm just playing with ideas here, so just don't judge me. Is that all of the processes that are continually unpacking everything into being, as far as I can point to what God might be, I think that's it. I mean, whenever we start like talking about God, I feel like then we've created a concept, and that's not actually the thing anymore. In the Tao Te Ching, it says the way that can be named is not the eternal way, or the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. Mm-hmm. So once we start talking about these things, we're then talking about the concepts of them, right? But if we're going to talk about them at all, then maybe we might have to have some sort of shared concepts. So what I'm saying is all of those processes that are unpacking everything into being, they're within us as well. You know, we're not just covered with the fingerprints of God. We are still all of those processes emerging into the world. And, you know, it's when we think about how precious it is being a human, a part of that too is we get to create, right? We get to take part in that sort of original process of the unpacking of things. We get to create and build new things too. But that's a bit of a tangent. The greater thing is that process, not only are we earthly and cosmic beings, but all the processes that are moving being through the world, those are in us too. And so in that sense, we're made up of the same thing as stars, not just physically, but in terms of all of the processes that are bringing those things together that create those stars. That's within us too. And just to bring things back down to earth, I don't want to leave it there and leave it all abstract. Like I said, I hope that during our discussion, we might have some time to share the moments that have changed our lives, whether they're to do with awakening or whatever, just the wonderful moments that have brought you here to being the breathtaking beings that you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. That was a very interesting discussion outside there, where it went off in so many different directions, but a lot of people had kind of life-changing moments around food. So it was kind of interesting to think about like consumption, I guess, of materials. It really does have a large impact on us. And then our conversation kind of turned into our experience of a moment and how we're all experiencing a moment differently. And just how amazing that is, because it creates different things for us to ponder on and reflect on. Did anyone want to share any thoughts or summarize what happened inside?
Lots.
Nice summary.
We did talk about food though.
Okay.
One thing that came up was painful experiences as a catalyst for change, or quote unquote negative experiences as a sort of a catalyst for change. And so that was one theme that kind of presented itself. Talked about nature and being good custodians to nature. Arno mentioned that. I mean, yeah, there was a lot. It went like you in many different directions. It was an excellent conversation.
It's cool. Thank you.